morning. Good morning, Rachel. How are you? As you join this morning, please say hi. Let us know you're here, how you're doing. Good morning. Good morning, Aunt Audrey. How are you today? Would you send some of that sunshine up this way? We could use a little bit more. So, are there any requests this morning for particular areas of your body needing a little support? Oh, I'm so glad that it's gorgeous there. It will be here. Just not quite yet. Not quite yet. And we just have the earliest of the spring flowers popping up. Some crocuses and daffodils. And the trees are getting all of their buds. So it is coming indeed, spring. We will go ahead and get started. And our practice today, if you have blocks or something that could substitute for blocks, so getting creative with what's around the home. Towels folded up are probably my favorite substitute for blocks, plus they give just a little extra cushioning, so bonus in that. You can use books, although sometimes they slide, so if you have like a thicker book, that is an option. Cans from the pantry are also really great options. And it's really just a little something to give you a little extension of your arm, or today we're actually going to be setting our feet on them one at a time. So 1, 2, 3 props that can create a tall tower. We're going to be making towers today with our blocks. So, and of course, everything we're doing, it can be done without the blocks. The blocks just give more opportunities to explore the movement. A staircase would work really well too, so that you have like the bottom stair to use. So yeah, all kinds of things you can use in these cases. So other things, if you have a blanket for under your head at any point when we're on our back or for our final resting, that's also a really wonderful tool to use. So we will start on our backs today. So if you would like to make your way there, I do have a little reading to share this morning. Something to get us just thinking today, thinking about our thoughts and the thoughts that are coming up for us. So making your way onto your back. And of course, if laying on your back is uncomfortable, you might choose to rest on your side. or even on the front side of your body. So doing what supports you. If you're on your back, you might stretch out long, or maybe have your knees bent with your feet planted on the mat. And I suppose proper introductions, although I do believe most of you tuning in already know who I am. I'm Paige with Karma Roots Yoga, and behind me is my partner Joel on the guitar, who will be guiding a beautiful music. Of course, I'm leaning the wrong way and blocking him. Guiding a beautiful music opportunity for us this morning. So I've been reading and essentially rereading a book, When Things Fall Apart, Heart Advice for Difficult Times. And the passage that I read last night felt like a good story to share today, because there's been so much on the news and social media, just a lot of anxiety in words, and sometimes it comes up like anger. And there's nothing wrong with being angry about our situation, but it gives us an opportunity to kind of ask, where is this anger coming from? What is the root of it? And what's really on my mind and on my heart? And I thought this story was quite beautiful. Once there was a young warrior. Her teacher told her that she had to do battle with fear. She didn't want to do that. It seemed too aggressive. It was scary. It seemed unfriendly. But the teacher said she had to do it and gave her the instructions for the battle. The day arrived, and the student warrior stood on one side and fear stood on the other. The warrior was feeling very small, and fear was looking big and wrathful. They both had their weapons. The young warrior roused herself and went toward fear, prostrated 3 times and asked, "May I have permission to go into battle with you?" Fear said, "Thank you for showing me so much respect that you asked permission." Then the young warrior said, "How can I defeat you?" And Fear replied, "My weapons are that I talk fast and I get very close to your face. Then you get completely unnerved and you do whatever I say. If you don't do what I tell you, I have no power. You can listen to me and you can have respect for me. You can even be convinced by me. But if you don't do what I say, I have no power." And in that way, the student warrior learned how to defeat fear. So the author of this book says that this is how it actually works, fear. And that there has to be some kind of respect for that initial jitters, that jarring feeling, and some understanding of how our emotions can have that power and influence over us. And then we have the power to choose what to do with it. So today, considering in what ways that fear might show up for you, and in what ways you can choose to either listen or maybe respect it and know that it doesn't have to be your truth. I'm tuning in now, noticing anything coming up for you. Maybe thoughts, feelings about the share this morning, considerations of it. And maybe you're noticing other things going on today. How's your physical body? And let's land there on your mat in the space. The physical body. Notice all of the points where your body meets the floor. Notice the weight of your feet on the earth. And then notice too where your body rises up away from the floor. And then the hills and valleys of your own physicalness. Notice your hips and glutes, the curve of your spine. And notice your shoulder blades. Give them a shrug. See if they can sink a little bit more into the earth. And now notice through the back of your headrest, the back of your head. And then in this moment, see if you can imagine that little furrow that forms between your brows and let it soften for now. Just kind of letting facial expression melt off your face. Unhinging the jaw. And notice where the tongue rests in your mouth. Is it pressing firmly into the roof? Can you soften that just a little bit? Maybe let just the tip of the tongue rest on the roof of the mouth behind the two front teeth. And notice how even these slight shifts in how we're holding our jaw, where we're placing our tongue, can help to soften other unnecessary muscular tensions in this moment. And now notice your breath. There's nothing you need to change about your breath. Just be with what is there. Where do you feel your breath in your body? Where do you feel it the most in this moment? The low belly, the ribs, the upper chest. Now bring both of your hands to rest on your rib cage. The fingertips are pointed toward one another, maybe even the middle fingertips touch. And the palms are toward the outside. Your shoulders and elbows can slacken, soften as much as they will. And just for now, see if you can guide your breath so that when you breathe in, your ribs expand into your hands. And when you breathe out, the ribs gently sink away from your hands. When you breathe in, you might notice more space between the fingertips of the left hand and the right hand. When you exhale, the fingertips come closer together. And see if you notice in this moment, does one side of the ribcage expand more than the other? So, for example, do you feel your right hand moving further away than your left, or vice versa? Just noticing and observing our experience without changing it. And then see if you can guide your breath to create equal expansion for both sides. Breathing a little softer, a little smoother, and a little bit longer. Breathing in, filling up like two balloons. Breathing out, gently softening, releasing. smoother and a little bit longer now. Now your palms can stay exactly where they are. Or if you want, let the arms float down by your sides, palms up or down. And on your next exhale, gently press your back against your mat. Create a little tension there. And then when you inhale, let the low back lift up as your ribs expand open. So exhale, pressing the low back into the mat, the earth. Inhales, feel that expansion and rise. Back and forth with your breath. No hurry, no rush. One more lift. One more lower, and then find the neutral position for your spine. And open your arms out to a T and turn your palms to face up. On your next exhale, turn one palm to face down. Roll the arm over the floor without actually lifting the arm up. When you inhale, turn that arm over so the palm faces up. Exhale, the opposite palm turns to face the floor. And again, let the arm stay anchored to the earth. Inhale, palm turns to face up again. So with your breath, go back and forth. As you exhale, one palm turns to face the earth. As you inhale, that palm faces upward again. And then the other side takes a turn. You can let the movement begin to grow. You may already naturally be doing so that not only does the palm turn, but the whole arm starts to roll like a rolling pin. You can even see what it feels like to let this movement move up into the shoulder so that the shoulder kind of shrugs up and down. You might feel the shoulder blade against the earth shifting too. Exhales, one palm turns. Inhale, unwinding. If you want, the head and neck can become involved so that the next time your left palm turns down, your gaze turns toward the right. So you look opposite the palm turned down. When you inhale, the gaze comes back to center, as does the palm to the sky. Exhale, the right palm will turn, the gaze will shift left. Inhales back to center. If you want, with the knees bent, heel toe the feet wide on the mat. And the next time your left palm turns, let your knees tip toward the left as your gaze shifts toward the right. When you inhale, unwind. The knees come to center, the gaze comes to center, the palm faces up. As you exhale, the right palm turns, the knees tip right, and the gaze shifts left. your whole body, taking this gentle twist, and know that if the turn of the head doesn't feel good, you can keep your gaze neutral. Notice where you feel this movement today as you twist your body like a wash rag gently being wrung out. Maybe considering our warrior today, that battle with fear. With each inhale, inviting in what supports you. With each exhale, letting go something not serving you. What might that be? Maybe there's an old ache. You want to visualize releasing that ache. Don't have to know the exact how, just considering it in this moment. Letting your breath be softer, smoother, a little bit longer. Take one or two more twists. This full body warm up. And we'll meet back at center. And pause here, let the knees tip toward one another. Maybe slide the arms down by your side, somewhere they feel comfortable. And come back to that breath. You could either bring your hands onto the ribs again or just imagine them there. Filling up and expanding with each inhale. Gently releasing with each exhale. Softer. Smoother. A little bit longer now. And when you're ready, gently hug the knees towards your chest. You can wrap your arms around the fronts or backs of the legs. And maybe add movement. Would it feel good to rock up and down the length of the spine or side to side across the spine, or maybe draw some circles. Breathing softer, smoother, a little bit longer now. Back to center, hold the backs of your legs, and on your next inhale, slowly reach your heels toward the ceiling, straightening the legs just until you find a stretch. And then sink your shoulder blades toward the earth, even if it means letting go of your legs. Really reach through the heels, even if the knees are bent. Imagine the heels are pressing into the invisible floor, pressing into the ceiling. Exhales to bend the knees. Circle the ankles. Pause the ankles and reach the heels up again. Inhale. Exhale to bend. Point and flex the feet this time. And on your next inhale, reaching the heels up again. And exhale to bend the knees. This time, stretch the toes out as far and then crinkle them in. Stretch them out, crinkle them in, soften the feet, and slowly bring the feet down to the floor. Lift and lower your hips. And then cross the right ankle over the left thigh, letting the right knee tip open to the right. You can bring your right hand onto that leg. You can add a little rocking side to side if you like. You can add so much rocking that your foot comes toward the floor on the left, and then your knee comes toward the floor on the right. You can open your arms out to a T here if that feels good. Breathing softer and smoother. A little bit longer now. Maybe it would feel good to lift the left foot up off the floor, bringing both legs towards your chest. Any of these movements will support you in this moment. Breathing in and breathing out. When you're ready, let both feet connect to the floor and lift your hips up and down. Across the left ankle over the right. And notice how this side is similar or different from the other side. Adding those same options here, the rocking, the twisting. Arms could be open to a T. Maybe use that right leg to bring both legs towards your chest. Check in with yourself. How are you doing? How's this movement serving you in this moment? Let's unwind now. Letting the feet land, lift and lower the hips again. And then this time, send both legs long. Both legs long. Taking a moment here to notice. Notice how the right side feels. And the left side. Does one leg feel longer than the other? Or one arm feel longer than the other? And then in the next breath or two, choose a side to curl up on and draw your knees up towards your chest. And there's no rush, take your time. Either side. And then when you're ready, slowly rise on up. Making your way right into tabletop. The knees under the hips. If you see your feet today, looking back between your legs, hide them behind your legs. Let your gaze come back toward the floor with the top of your head reaching forward and your hands in line with shoulders, either right under the shoulders if that feels good, or you could take your hands a little bit wider. We'll take some cats and cows here. So letting the stomach reach toward the floor as you lift your tail, then lift your head up. And then reverse this. Lift your spine up toward the sky. Tuck your head and tuck your tail. With each breath, you can reverse inhales to lift your head and tail up, that cow pose. Each exhale, you can curl with the arch back up, or you can pause in either pose. You can add movement side to side, rocking hip side to hip side. You can do this in either cat or cow pose. You can try both. You can also choose that neutral spine. inviting yourself back to the cats and cows. Maybe let your head be the last thing that lifts up and the last thing that tucks under. Now, finding neutral spine, and then finding your blocks or your block substitutes. We'll want 2 for this, so whatever you're using. And on the lowest setting of whatever you're using, so if block sits on that lowest setting, these are pretty thick blocks, so no higher than 4 inches about for whatever it is. And you're going to take them to the edges of your mat on either side. Your hands are going to be between them. And then take your knees wide, bring your toes together and sink your hips back towards your heels. And keep in mind, if you don't have blocks or a blanket or something to substitute here, it can be invisible and it will still work. This just gives you something physical to interact with. So from here, bringing the forehead toward the earth. If the forehead doesn't reach the earth, you can also bring a blanket in under the forehead. Or if you happen to have another block, that can be there too. So just to demo that. Forehead is resting. We want the head to be resting here, just for the moment. You could also stack your hands and rest your forehead on your hands. And then we're going to add a little bit of movement with our child's pose today. So we can start by lifting the head and peeking forward at the hands. And then rooting down through that right palm as much as possible. Can you feel that up into maybe the upper arm or maybe the shoulder? Maybe you can feel it down toward your ribs even. And then slowly lift the left hand. Keep pressing through the right and lift the left. Just hover it above your mat. And then here's where if you have a block or block substitutes, lift it up and over that and set it down to the outside. And then lift it up and over it again and bring it back in. Now root down through the left. The right will lift. Just a hover. Lower. Lift and take it up and over your object, down to the earth, up and over, back to the inside. And it's okay for the hand to skim the top of the object. Now you can continue with the head lifted, or if the forehead reaches the earth, you can rest the forehead. Root down through the right palm again, lifting the left, lowering the left. Lift and keep breathing here, and lowering. Lifting one more time and taking it up and over. Releasing. Then again, up and over. Down. Root down through the left. Hover the right. Lower. Lift. Keep breathing. Lower. Lifting. Lowering. This time lifting and moving. Lifting up and over, back down to the earth. Keep breathing. Up, over, back to inside. And then soften. Maybe bend your elbows and let your hands come a little bit more toward your head. And we'll slowly rise on up. And move your objects just off the edges of the mat. Good. Take some more cats and cows now. Can we feel this in your shoulder blades? Maybe as the tail and head lift up, you squeeze your shoulder blades towards one another. And then when your tail and head tuck, imagine sliding your shoulder blades as far apart from one another as they will go. Eventually finding that neutral position. And then keeping the hips and the shoulders parallel to the mat. Parallel to the mat. So we're going to try not to dump our weight. Bring your weight into your right knee. And then slowly lift the left knee out to the side. Only as far as where you can without completely lifting that whole hip up into the air. So we're going to try and keep the left hip level and even with the mat and with that right knee. So we're not leaning way over to the right to lift the left. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. And now take the heel toward the ceiling. So the leg's going to lift toward the back of the mat, but the knee will stay bent. The heel lifts and then back toward the earth. Here too, we might want to dump into the right side. See if you can keep even. Lift, lower, lift, lower. Breathing in, breathing out. Out to the side and back in. Toward the back of the mat and back. Out to the side, back in, to the back in. Out to the side, pause, and now circle the hip. Any side circling again, as much as you can, keeping the hips square toward the mat, which limits our movement, right? So try it. Lift as much as you want. So you're not keeping your hips square. Okay, and then square the hips. So it's not that one is wrong. We're just trying different things. Reverse directions of your circles. Now can you slow your circle? One more circle. And then release that knee and enjoy the release. Other sides turn. So bringing the weight into that left knee. The right knee will open out to the right. You might notice differences immediately. So hips stay square toward the mat. You can always try, well, what does it feel like leaning way to the left here? You can lift that other leg more. What changes? Is the weight even across the hands? Can you bring it to being even? Flex the foot, toe toward the knee. Once more out to the side, and then we'll reach toward the back of the mat, heel toward the ceiling, knee stays bent, lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Now out to the side, lower to the back, and lower. Back and forth. Out to the side, to the back, out to the side, and pause. Here are those circles. Notice the movement here. Notice the range. Then we can lean way to the left. The range might grow, and bring it back square. Reverse circle directions. Check in with your weight across your hands. See if you're dumping into the left or right side. Can you make it even? One more circle. Ooh, take the knees wide, let the toes come together. Take a well-earned child's pose. Maybe circle the wrists. Maybe stretch the fingers and make gentle fists. slowly rising up now. And we're going to do another series for the hips. And I'm going to turn myself. You can stay exactly as you are on your mat. I'm going to turn this way just because I think you'll be able to see the movement a little bit better from the front view. So in tabletop, we'll start by lifting the right knee up, extending the leg and setting it out to the side of the mat and reaching through the pinky toe edge of that foot. Now, from here, lifting the heel, internally rotating the hip, and then bringing the heel back down, and now lifting the toes up, externally rotating the hip. Okay? So back and forth, rotation. How does that feel? What do you notice? And check in with your opposite leg. We want to make sure we're keeping the hips stacked over the knee for now. So you might notice if you're leaning way to the left or leaning way to the right, and see if you can bring it directly even so that hip stacks over that knee. Now relax that right foot toward the floor. Now press the whole leg down toward the earth here. Press. The whole leg. Can you press? All the way up into the hip. And now, our yoga miracle today. Lift that whole leg up. And notice if you want to lean way over to the left. As much as you can, stay even and lower. Lift and lower. Keep breathing. Lift and lower. If you have a wall nearby, you can take your left hip right up alongside the wall to check in and make sure you're not leaning way over to the left. Lift and lower. Lift and bring that knee back in. Good. Now, if you have a block, we can do the same thing on a block or a book. So that's going to go out to the side. And if you don't, repeating the same movement just with using the floor. So, weights even. Lift the leg out to the side, extend it, and landing the foot this time on a block or blanket or something that adds a little lift. Rotation first, internal and external. Notice what's going on that left leg too. Rotation. Finding center. And now that whole leg, as if you were going to press the leg into the earth. And soften it. And now, without dumping into the left side, lifting. And maybe it's just an engagement here. That is enough. Imagining everything you need to lift that leg, and then maybe a little lift. And then lower. A lift. A lower. Notice what's happening on your opposite side. Maybe your left elbow wants to bend. That's okay, just notice. Lift one more time, bend the knee, bring it back in, child's pose. Shall we do the other side? Rise up. This time, weight will go into the right knee, lift the left knee out, and extend it. I'll slide these blocks out of the way so you can see. Alright, internal and external rotation. Toes lift. Heel lifts. Back and forth. Still breathing. And find the side of the foot. Press the whole leg down toward the earth. Creating muscular tension here, creating that pressure. And then when you're ready, engage and maybe lift. Lower. Lift. Oh, look at that. You might have saw, if you were watching, my opposite elbow was wanting to bend. Working on keeping the arms straight, finding your lift and lower without dumping into that Right side. One more. Lift, bend the knee, and bring it back in child's pose. Ah. Rising up. Find your block. We'll try it with a block. Alright. Left knee lifts, extend the leg, bring it onto the block. Good. Internal and external rotation of the hip. Landing the foot, press the whole leg toward the earth. All of these movements creating strength, resilience in the hip flexors. And here we go, engaging as if we're gonna lift and maybe lift. Watch the lean toward the right side. Maybe you notice, was one side easier than the other? One more. Then come back to center and child's pose. Now, rising back up, walk the hands a little ahead and take some hip circles round and round. Very good. You can set your blocks aside. Switching directions. Coming to center and then lowering all the way down onto your stomach. Bring the elbows in under the shoulders. Just taking a little Sphinx pose here. Breathing in, breathing out. Now the muscles of the legs can be soft, or you can add hugging the muscles against the bones of the legs. See how it feels different. Soften the legs. And then add that muscular tension and hold by engaging the muscles as if they were hugging the bones. Soften and hug the bones. And then sink all the way down. Stack the hands, rest the forehead on the hands. Maybe bend the knees and sway the feet side to side. And slowly release the feet. And bring the hands in line with the shoulders and press yourself up to tabletop. Then back to one last child's pose. Here, if you like, bring the palms to touch. And then take the thumbs toward the nape of your neck. You might walk your elbows forward and sink your hips back. Breathing softer, smoother, a little bit longer. Releasing the arms. Now walk both arms off toward the right of your mat and then stack the right hand on top of the left. You can rest your forehead on either arm or on the mat and sink your hips toward the left here. Slowly bring the hands back to center. And then walk both hands to the right this time, or left this time if you already did the right. And set the left hand on top of the right and sink the hips toward the right. Breathing softer, smoother, a little bit longer. Make your way back to center. And slowly make your way onto your back, however best serves you. If you want a blanket for behind your head, bringing that in. And we'll just take a couple of more movements once we get onto our back. So take your time getting there. And once you're there, hug your knees in towards your chest. Maybe just repeating some movements from earlier. Adding circling. And maybe it would feel good to reach the heels toward the ceiling once again. And slowly release the feet down to the floor. And then options here, take the feet wide and let the knees tip toward one another as we did earlier, restorative pose, or this time walk the feet toward one another, letting the bottoms of the feet come to touch and letting the knees open out to the sides. Taking several breaths here. Breathing softer, smoother, a little bit longer. And when you're ready, you can make your way to your final resting pose. Whatever that looks like for you today, whether bent knees, whether stretched out, it's up to you. Finding a place to invite a little stillness, to be and to breathe, to rest, to drift and dream. back to the space, noticing all the points where you're connected to the earth. And bringing in subtle movement, wiggle toes and fingers. And as you're ready, making your way to seated, taking your time, we'll meet there. May we know peace, wisdom, and serenity as we navigate our paths to fill our hearts. As always, it's an honor to be here with you. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you for joining us this morning. We will be here again tomorrow for Slow Flow at 5:30. And then Thursday for another round of morning mindful movements. So we wish you well. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And if you need anything at all, feel free to message through the business page or even my own Facebook page. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.